Come in, my friend. Come in out of the rain. There's room here beside me, and the fire's still holding its shape, just enough to keep the chill from settling too deep in our bones. You hear it, don't you? That low hum in the rafters, where the wind curls through the boards like a cat finding its way home. It's an old barn, older than most would think worth saving, but it still stands. A little tired, perhaps, but steady enough for a night like this. And sometimes, steady is all we need. The wood here has gone silver at the edges with age, softened by years of sun and storm. Lean close, and you can smell it. Earthy, like wet hay and forgotten harvests. The beams creak now and then, not from weight, but memory. They've heard long stories, I imagine, from animals once bedded down here, or travelers who lit small fires like ours and waited out passing weather. You'll find no grand furnishings in this place, just slanted walls, some loose straw underfoot, and old tools in the corners leaning like elders in deep thought. See that one? The spade with the worn handle. I'd wager it once tilled the field just beyond the hill, and that rusted horseshoe still nailed there on the post above you might have seen more miles than I have. But listen, do you hear it? The rain isn't harsh tonight. It's not lashing or shouting, just falling steady and sure, as though it's telling the same quiet tale over and over to the fields. Each drop pattering on the roof above us has its own soft rhythm. Not one of them is in a hurry. That's what I like about barns. They're not places of urgency. They're meant for waiting, for weathering, for letting the world be loud outside while it stays gentle within. Out through that broken slat above the far gate, you can see the field if you squint a bit. Not much detail now, just the faintest motion where the tall grass bends beneath the mist. Trees in the distance sway, like dancers half asleep. And somewhere between us and them, the fog rises in soft breaths. It moves slow, as if not to disturb the roots. The fire crackles between us. See? Just a modest ring of stone and wood, barely enough to call a blaze, but warm enough. The flames aren't reaching anymore. They're content to flicker, to glow, to curl, like lazy script against the shadows. Watch the sparks drift upward, finding the beams, then fading. The light it gives is soft and golden, and it settles on your face like a hush. We don't need more than this. Just enough to see one another, to feel the warmth in our palms, to hear the wood sighing now and then as it settles into rest. I think there's something sacred in places like this. Not sacred in the way temples are, with bells and altar cloths, but in the way quiet makes room for breath. This old barn feels like a chapel of its own kind, don't you think? No stained glass, just a roof with holes, and that's enough for starlight to visit us when the clouds part. Not now, of course, the storm's still singing, but soon maybe. Sometimes I think the rain has a memory longer than ours, that it's heard every vow spoken into the night, every farewell whispered to no one in particular. Perhaps that's why it feels so familiar, not heavy, just known. And now here we are, you and I, tucked away in this wooden hollow, with no need to go anywhere, no road calling, no duty pressing in, just this moment, just this fire, just the rhythm of the rain to keep us company. If you're tired, let your shoulders rest. The straw beneath us is softer than it looks, and the wind coming through the wall there is kinder than you'd expect. More of a breath than a chill. You can lean your back against the post if you'd like. I'll sit right here. No rush to speak. We can let the quiet stretch between us like a shared blanket. Thank you for coming, truly. I would have watched the storm alone, of course. But it's a finer thing, isn't it, to share a silence with someone who understands its worth. The barn doesn't mind us. The storm doesn't either, and neither do I. Let's just be here a little while longer. Let the world do as it pleases beyond these walls. Tonight we have firelight. Stir. As its oasis. You hear that, my friend? The barn listens too. It has for years. I imagine the wood remembers every rainfall. Like a lullaby, it never forgot. The beams above us creak now and then, not in protest, but in greeting, an old familiar voice speaking in the tongue of time-worn timber. Each groan and whisper of the rafters is slow content. Even the wind slipping through that broken slat above the gate seems to know this is a place for gentleness. It curls in, soft and quiet, cooling the air just enough to remind us we're safe from what stirs outside. We're not far from the heart of the field, though you wouldn't know it tonight. The world beyond the barn has blurred into mist and rain, folded in upon itself like a woolen cloak left in the dew. The fields stretch out there, still and silvered, hidden beneath the storm's breath. Only the faintest shape of trees remains. There, just past the edge of that shadow, they bend with such grace, swaying together like old companions swaying to the rhythm of a song only the night remembers. And oh, the rain. It has a voice of its own, not harsh, not hurried, just steady, steady like a heartbeat. Each droplet striking the roof is a word without syllable, a promise without weight. Some part of me believes it's speaking to the fields, or perhaps to us, not demanding our attention, only offering its company, a rhythm we're welcome to listen to, or simply let drift past us like smoke from the fire. This fire, it's a modest thing, isn't it? But it does its work well. The flames rise just high enough to warm the palms, not the rafters. They flicker and bow, casting long shadows that dance against the planks behind us. The light moves slowly here. Nothing rushes. Sparks rise like fireflies, too shy for summer, drifting upward toward the beams, then vanishing before they touch. And beneath it all, the sound of the logs shifting, settling, whispering secrets as old as bark itself. Look around, friend. The barn wears time with quiet pride. You see that wheel leaning in the corner, the spokes long since surrendered to the weight of years, and over there the pitchfork resting against the wall like it has no need to rise again. These aren't things waiting to be used. They've found peace in stillness. Much like us tonight. The walls bear marks, too. Scratches, stains, notches where someone once measured something that mattered. And up there, see the soft patch where the rain's gotten through over time. The hay beneath it is darkened, but not ruined. It's as if the barn learned long ago how to welcome the rain without letting it take root. It breathes through its brokenness. Even the scent here is full. Damp hay. Yes, but sweet too, like herbs stored too long in a satchel. The smell of old stone warmed by fire, the faintest trace of smoke soaked into the rafters. If you close your eyes, you can almost taste it on the air. That deep, quiet flavor of a place well lived in. There's something in the way light settles in here. It doesn't scatter or shine too fiercely. It rests. It gathers in the grooves of the walls, pulls gently on the straw, slides across your shoulder without fanfare. It's a soft sort of seeing. The kind that lets things be what they are without demanding clarity. We don't need every edge defined tonight. Outside, thunder rolls, not loud but low, far off, like someone remembering a story they're not ready to tell. It rumbles through the soil, through the bones of this barn, through the soles of our feet, and then, just as quickly, it fades. The storm is no enemy tonight, only a visitor passing through, with its own tales and rhythms to carry. Do you feel how the air moves in here, gently, like a sigh from the earth itself? The wind threads through the gaps in the boards, brushing past us as if to say, I see you, you are here, and it is enough. There's comfort in being seen like that, by a place, by a night, by the storm itself. Sometimes, when I sit here alone, I wonder what this barn remembers. I imagine the lives it's watched unfold, not grand ones. Just simple, beautiful days, a shepherd waiting out the weather with his dog curled beside him, a child hiding in the hay, watching the raindrops race down the planks, a woman setting down a basket and breathing deeply in the quiet. This place holds echoes, but it never speaks them too loud. And now we're part of that memory, you and I. Another quiet night added to the ledger. No great deeds, no need for them, just the gentle hum of presence. That's what the world forgets sometimes, doesn't it? That presence, stillness, those are things too, real as stone, weighty as iron, precious as gold. So let the storm do what storms do. Let the fields drink deep. Let the thunder speak its half-formed words. And we'll stay here cradled by timber and firelight, listening without needing to understand. The barn doesn't ask us for anything. It offers its roof, its walls, its peace, and asks nothing in return. What a generous thing that is. If you're cold, lean closer to the fire. Let it warm your hands. Let the sound of rain braid itself into your thoughts, until even thinking feels too heavy to carry. We still let the world soften around us now. We still let the night carry the rest. We're safe here, my friend. And the barn keeps watch. You know, my friend, I haven't drawn my sword in days. Not out of neglect, nor fear, just no need. It rests as I do, quietly near the fire. We both know there are seasons for stillness, and this is one of them. The armor I wear now is only part of the whole. No helm tonight, no gauntlets biting into my fingers, just enough steel to remember who I've been, but not so much it weighs me down. Some nights, it's good to be half-dressed for battle and fully dressed for rest. I'm not hiding from the storm outside. Not exactly. I just don't feel the need to stand against it this time. Let the wind sweep across the fields. Let the rain fall without witness. It's earned its song. And I've learned to listen. Not every thunder must be answered with defiance. Some are better met with quiet breath and dry straw. There's a different kind of weariness upon me lately. Not the kind that aches in the knees or grits into the shoulders, but the kind that comes from carrying too many stories too long. Do you know what I mean? You tuck things away, moments, memories, names, and say to yourself, I'll set that down soon. Just after the next mile, the next duty, the next winter, and somehow the bundle never gets lighter. You just get quieter beneath it. That's why I came back here. This barn, this old, broken place, it once gave me shelter when I was younger than I can now remember clearly. Back when my sword was still eager, and my feet believed every road held glory. I used to stop here on long rides, especially when the rains turned the roads to mud. There wasn't much to it even then. Just 4 walls and a roof that held its breath. But it was safe, warm enough to sleep without armor, quiet enough to hear myself think. And now, After all these years, I find myself beneath this same roof again, not out of necessity, but out of longing. I think I wanted to see if it remembered me, or perhaps I hoped it might help me remember myself. Funny, isn't it? How places do that. How the smell of old straw and damp wood can pull open a drawer inside you didn't know was still locked. It's not a grand hole, this barn. It doesn't shine, but it holds, it endures. And tonight I needed something that knew how to endure. The storm outside, it feels familiar too. Not the kind that seeks to break branches or frighten the sheep. Just a steady, endless rain. The sort that comes when the sky is tired of holding its breath. I think that's how I feel too. Tired of holding things in. Not ready to spill them all out. Just ready to let the air move through me. To be still and not alone in that stillness. You see, there's a certain quiet only found when one is tired in the soul, not just the body. A hush that comes not from exhaustion but from understanding, deep, settled understanding. I've seen enough roads now to know they never truly end, only change their names. I've seen enough faces to know some stay with you longer than they should, and some leave before you know you needed them. But here, tonight, with you beside me, and the storm humming like a memory, I can set it all down for a while. The stories, the names, the unseen weight. I don't have to carry them right now. Not here, not with you. You've a kind presence, you know. You don't press. You don't pry. That's rare, and it's welcome. Some companions speak just to fill the air. But you understand the kind of silence that isn't empty. The kind that wraps around a person like a blanket, rather than a wall. When I was younger, I used to think peace was something you fought for, earned, like a medal. Now I see it's something you notice when you stop fighting. That's what I feel here. That's what this barn gives me. It's studs, not peace carved from triumph. It's peace, whispered from old wood and slow-burning embers. There's a corner of the loft where I used to sleep, back when I still had to lift my feet just to see over the windowsill. It's half collapsed now, just a suggestion of a second floor. But I remember lying up there, the rain tapping on the roof, the scent of horses not long gone, and the straw scratching softly at my arms. I'd stare at the beams above and trace shapes in the cobwebs. Castles, ships, sleeping wolves. And I remember feeling even then that the storm outside was telling me something I wouldn't understand until much later. Maybe that time is now. Maybe this barn is still trying to teach me how to rest. Not just to stop, but to rest. To lay down more than armor. You ever feel that, my friend? That tiredness that asks not for sleep, but for silence. Not for escape, but for stillness. I don't think we're meant to carry every story to its ending. Some we simply carry until they soften into silence. And some we only understand once we've shared them with someone who doesn't need them to be explained. That's what this night is. For me, a space between the words, a place between the pages, a time to let the rain speak, and the fire listen, and the heart remember what it means to rest. So let the things be quiet together now. Let the barn hold our stillness. Let the storm press gently against the walls, and the past settle like dust in the corners. We still have no need to go anywhere tonight. This place remembers me, I think. And I remember who I was, just enough to be grateful for who I am. Thank you, my dear friend, for being here exactly as you are. No questions, no weight, just warmth. Would you mind if I shared something with you, my friend? It's nothing pressing, nothing heavy, just something small I left behind years ago, something I've come back tonight to feel the edges of, nothing more. You see, there was another storm like this one, not identical, no. This one hums softer, gentler, but still, something in the rhythm is familiar. The way the rain falls, the way the wind tests the boards, not to break them, but to remind them they're still here. It was years ago. I came to this barn not as the man you know now, but as someone younger, someone still deciding what kind of silence he trusted. The storm that night was louder, perhaps. Or maybe I was simply less practiced at listening to anything but myself. And while I waited, curled by the fire, not unlike now, I passed the hours with idle hands and too much heart. I carved a little figure from a piece of driftwood I'd carried in my satchel for far too long. Just a scrap, really, worn smooth by river and time. It felt wrong to throw it away, yet I'd never known what to do with it, until the rain gave me nothing else to hold but thought. So I carved, not well, mind you. I've never been much of a craftsman, but I shaped it all the same. A fox, I think it was, or perhaps it became one only because I needed it to be. Its back curled inward, tail looped round its paws. I remember setting it near the back wall there, where the hay grows darker, tucked just behind a broken beam. I didn't hide it exactly, just left it there, like you might place a candle in a chapel, not to be seen but simply to burn. I never came back to claim it. I never meant to. Alongside it, I folded a letter, one I never sent. Words I had written without knowing who would read them. Perhaps no one, perhaps myself, someday. I no longer remember what I wrote, only that it had to be written. That night needed a shape, and carving and ink were the only forms I knew. I don't return here to retrieve those things. No, the patient belong to who I am now. They belong to who I was in that rain, carving quietly with cold fingers, trying to give shape to an ache he couldn't name. What I've come to find isn't the carving, nor the letter. It's the stillness I knew when I left them behind. You understand, don't you? Sometimes we leave pieces of ourselves not because we've discarded them, but because we trust the place will remember us better than we could. That's the quest I'm on tonight, if you can even call it that. A quiet one. A still one. No dragons, no riddles, no glowing stones or whispered maps. Just me, sitting here with the fire, listening to the storm, seeing if the barn still holds the memory of a younger man's hope. We spend so much of our lives moving forward, chasing, surviving, returning with new armor and fewer questions. But this is a different kind of journey. One where you go backward not to change anything, but simply to see what softened, what endured, what didn't need to be fought at all. And this barn, it has a way of holding memory gently, so to feel it in the beams, in the way the smoke curls toward the holes in the ceiling, not rising fast, but wandering, in the scent of the straw, faintly sweet with rot. Yes, but something else too, something warm, as though even decay can remember. Spring, the rhythm of the rain has shifted now. Can you hear it? Less frantic, less insistent. It's like the sky is settling into its breath, and so must I. That sets the truest shape of this night, I think. Not a quest for discovery, but a ritual of return. Not a search, but a sitting with, a letting be. I don't need to touch the carving. I don't need to unfold the letter. It's enough to know they're still somewhere within these walls. And in knowing that, I remember how it felt to make them. Not what they were, but who I was while making them. It sets a quiet rhythm, this kind of remembering. No fanfare, no music, just breath, just presence. It's like tuning your soul to the hum of a place that once held you with tenderness. And you, sitting here beside me, you've made this return softer than it ever could have been, alone. Thank you for that. The fire's burned low but not out. That suits me. I didn't come here for heat, just the glow, just enough to see the shape of your face, and know I'm not alone in this silence, that there's still someone who understands that quests can be wordless, that sometimes sitting beside a memory is more noble than chasing a victory. You've helped me remember the rhythm of stillness, not the kind you fall into when the world tires you, but the kind you step into when your soul is ready to listen again. So we'll stay here, you and I, not moving, not searching, just letting the rain sing its steady hymn, just letting the walls keep their secrets. And when the fire dwindles to embers, and the storm softens into sleep, then perhaps, then I sit, I'll sleep too. But not just yet. Tonight, my only quest is this, to be still beside you, to feel the hush return, and to let the barn, the storm, the carving, and time. But remember me kindly. Do you mind, my friend, if I share a few things with you? Nothing urgent, nothing meant to stir. Just some memories I seem to carry more easily when rain's in the air and the fire is near. Moments that surface not as burdens but as gentle reminders, like the scent of lavender on an old tunic, or the way worn boots remember the shape of your stride. They don't come all at once. These memories, they rise like mist, slow and patient, asking only to be noticed, not solved, not held too tightly. And tonight, they feel close. There was a night, years ago now, when I passed through a village whose name I've long since forgotten. It was a market town in spring, nestled beside a low river and framed in willows. I hadn't planned to stay long, only to shelter from a gathering storm. The air smelled of rain before it even began, metallic and green, like wet stone and crushed grass. I found a stable near the edge of town, the kind built with uneven planks and kindness. I remember ducking under the overhang just as the sky opened, and finding there a woman with dark hair and a voice like worn velvet. She was brushing down a chestnut mare and humming, not a song I knew, but something slow and lilting, like the way water sounds when it slips between reeds. She never spoke to me, never even looked my way, but I remember that melody more clearly than most conversations. I stood there in silence, letting the rain wash over my boots and that voice wash over everything else. I've hummed that tune many times since then, though the shape of it always changes a little. It's as though it refuses to be caught. But in moments like this, with the wind soft and the rafters above us still holding strong, I can almost hear it again. And then, there was a boy, younger than you'd expect to be wandering the woods alone, though he didn't seem afraid. I'd stopped beneath a thicket for the night, and he found me there, mud on his boots, a stick for a sword, and a grin that didn't ask for permission. He offered me half a dried pear, and asked if I was a real knight. I said I wasn't sure anymore. He laughed, called me silly, and then asked for a story. Said I could sleep under his family's lean-to in exchange. I took him up on it, of course. Not for the shelter, but for the chance to give something quiet to a boy who believed every night still had wonder in his voice. I told him of an owl who guarded a candle that never went out. It was a tale I hadn't thought of in years, but it came easily that night, as if it had waited just for him. He fell asleep before I finished, his head on a pile of hay, the stick sword still clutched in his hand. I wonder where he is now. Perhaps he's become a knight himself, or perhaps something else entirely. But I hope he still tells stories when it rains. I hope he still believes that strangers can be safe, and that kindness isn't something we owe, but something we offer when the night is quiet and our hands are still. Another night drifts up now, a long ride home. No destination pressing, just the need to move and let thought stretch its legs. The road was soft with mud, the rain so light it felt like silk sliding over my helm, so gentle it made me forget the cold. I remember stopping by a crooked tree with branches like bent arms and lifting my face to the sky, just for a moment. Just to feel it, the way each drop landed so precisely, as if it had chosen me. No urgency, no weight, only presence. That's Seb's what I did come to cherish, you see. The small things, not the heralded deeds, not the songs sung by others, just the quiet recognitions. The way wet moss glows in moonlight. The sound of your own breath when there's no need to prove anything to the world. The memory of a carving made by firelight. Which reminds me, I climbed up to the loft earlier, just before you arrived. It's more fragile than it used to be, of course. Some of the beams bow and the floor creaks like an old friend stretching awake. But I found it, or rather, it was still there. The carving, the little fox I shaped so long ago, when my hands were younger and my heart was restless, still curled, still small, still tucked behind that broken beam like it had been waiting without hurry. The wood has darkened with time, and there's a small crack near its tail, but the shape holds, the curve of its back, the soft arc of its ears it remembers. I held it for a moment, not tightly, just enough to let my palm feel the grain, and I laughed. Quietly, not at the thing itself, but with it, as if it too had grown old with me, and we were both a little surprised to still be here. It didn't feel like a relic. It felt like a companion, a small echo of who I was and who I'm still becoming. And I suppose that's what these moments are, aren't they? Echoes we welcome without needing to answer. Traces that whisper, you have lived, you are living still. These aren't stet tales of sorrow, dear friend. Not regrets, not weights, just threads, thin and golden stretched across time, catching in the light whenever we pause long enough to notice them. And tonight here with you, they shine a little brighter. Your bed name kind to listen, not just to the words, but to what hums beneath them. Not everyone can do that. Some hear only the rain, but you hear the shape of the memory inside it. And now the fire's low again. The logs sigh as they settle, glowing red in their bones. The wind presses once more against the boards, not with force, but with the curiosity of a traveler passing by. Maybe tomorrow I'll climb up again and leave the fox where I found it. Maybe not. But for now it rests beside me, just beyond the firelight. And that feels right. I think the barn has remembered me better than I remembered myself. And that's a kind of grace I didn't know I needed. So let it sit here a while longer. Let the sparks rise. Let the storm sing. We'll gather these soft discoveries one by one, and lay them down like petals between pages, not to be read again, just to be known. It's just quieter now, isn't it, my friend? The rain's softened its rhythm. The fire's settled to coals, and I feel my voice leaning toward a whisper, not from weariness, but from something gentler still, as though the night itself is asking us to speak softer, feel deeper, and move not at all. Some storms roar. Some come crashing through your world like a horn at dawn, shaking walls and waking fears you thought you'd long put to rest. But others come like this one, a steady hush, a reminder that not every disturbance is meant to undo you. Some are just the sky sep's way of exhaling. Sid known both kinds, the ones that rattle the very bones of your soul, and the ones that seep in like ink through linen, quiet but impossible to ignore. And I used to think the loud ones were the ones to fear, the ones that split the sky and drove birds from the trees. But in truth, the softer ones stay longer. The rain tonight, it says something I cannot. It speaks in rhythms too slow for the tongue, but perfect for the heart. You hear it too, don't you? The language of water and patience. Not everything needs to be solved. Not every ache needs to be spoken aloud. Some things need only to be witnessed by a friend, by a flame, by the roof of an old barn that's known storms longer than you or I. You see, peace doesn't always come with clarity. That was a hard truth to accept. I used to believe peace was a bright morning, or a fixed answer, a cleared path, a resolved knot. But now, I know better. Sometimes peace is the absence of urgency. Sometimes it's such knowing you don't need to move, that nothing is required of you in this moment but to be, to breathe, to rest, to be held by a space that does not ask you to explain yourself. This right here, between the rain and the fire, is such a space, a moment that holds, not demands, a space that accepts you as you are. And that, my dear friend, is a rare kind of shelter. Because shelter is not always wood and stone, not always thatch and brick and gates with strong hinges. Shelter can be a silence that doesn't press. Shelter can be someone listening without asking why you're quiet. Shelter can be a fire lit not to cook, nor to guide, but just to glow. I've learned that what shields us is not always something built. Sometimes it's something shared, like this moment, with you. Here, now. When I was younger, I thought solitude made me strong. That silence was armor. That stillness was something to be earned after hardship, not something to be welcomed before it. But now I see stillness as its own kind of wisdom, the kind that doesn't chase or grip or conquer, the kind that lets you arrive without judgment. We've been taught to brace ourselves, haven't we? To prepare, to protect, to prove. But what if the world doesn't need all that from us tonight? What if it simply wants us to soften, to let the rain speak, to let the old wood creak above us, to feel the warmth of breath without needing to direct it? I think of all the times I passed places like this one, barns left behind, shelters half standing, and didn't stop. Too many nights spent walking when I could have rested. Too many mornings spent rushing when I could have simply watched the light rise. It studs. Only now, with age pressed into my joints and time curled quietly in my chest, that I understand not every moment must be filled, not every thought must be completed. Some are meant to drift, like ash from the fire. like fog over the field, like stories told not to instruct, but to accompany. And that's what I hope I am for you tonight, my friend. Not a guide, not a hero, just a voice beside the storm, a flicker of warmth on the edge of sleep. You don't need to do anything now, not think, not answer, not carry, just be, just breathe. The wind has slowed, the rafters no longer shift, and I can feel the hush of the barn settling around us like a second cloak. Let your shoulders drop, let your breath deepen, let the rain be enough. Let this stillness remind you that you are already enough, even in the quiet, especially in the quiet. There are days for effort, and nights like this one, for release. The fire doesn't blaze, but it still glows. The rain doesn't just flood, but it still speaks. The world doesn't shout, and yet it still sings. And you don't need to explain your tiredness. You don't need to justify your resting. You are allowed to stop. You are allowed to be soft. You are allowed to be here, just as you are, held not by walls, but by warmth, not by certainty, but by kindness. That, I think, is the truest shelter we ever find. But Sue, stay here with me. Let your thoughts drift like leaves on puddles. Let the past loosen its grip. Let the future wait at the door. Let the night hold you. Until keep the fire company. You keep the silence. And together, they said, let the storm pass through us without fear. We still let the night become a gentle memory. And when morning finds us, whenever it does, it'll find two souls at peace. Not because we solved the world, but because we allowed ourselves to be part of its quiet. The sip's better. The straw's softer than I remembered. Or maybe I'm just softer now. One hand behind my head, the other near the coals. Yes, that's just right. The fire's it's not dancing anymore. Not really. Its spurs curled into itself now, breathing slow, like it knows the night is winding down, and it doesn't need to be anything more than what it is. Just warmth and quiet light. Just enough to paint the ceiling beams in amber where the shadows fall. I can feel the heat on my fingers, gentle now, like an old friend holding your hand as you drift. You feel it too, don't you? That hush in the room, that settled stillness, the way the world exhales, once it's sure you're not going anywhere. The rain's grown shy, not gone, just quieter. A hush of rhythm instead of a song. It doesn't just try to be heard anymore. It simply is. I think storms like this know when their work is done. Thank you, my friend. Not for answers, not for questions, just for being here, for filling the space beside me with something calm and kind. For some nights we forget how sacred presence is. Not the loud kind, the kind that just stays. You've done that. You've warmed the space between breaths. It's a rare comfort, knowing I don't have to fill the silence. That you don't expect anything but what's already here. This barn, this night, this softened quiet between us. The armor I wore earlier, it's over there by the post. Loosened, half forgotten. I didn't bother with the straps. There's no weight in me tonight that needs binding. And my sword, just a length of steel lying still near my boots. Let it rest. Like me, like everything. Some evenings ask for vigilance, but this one asks for surrender. I might stay the night here. I think the barn would welcome it. The air inside has thickened just slightly with the warmth of the fire and the soft damp of the storm outside. It feels like sleep already lives here, curled in the corners, waiting to be remembered. Maybe I'll dream. Maybe not of battles or halls or names I fear have outgrown, but of lanterns swinging from the rafters above us. Lanterns made of thin wood and oiled cloth, swaying gently in the breeze, casting slow-moving circles on the straw. Dreams that don't stretch race. Dreams that wander. Dreams that know how to wait. There's something holy about this kind of rest. Not because it's earned, but because it asks for nothing. And you've given me a great gift tonight, just by sharing it. By choosing stillness over speech. By not asking the fire to do more than flicker. When I was younger, I instead of missed this, would have watched the embers dim and wondered what came next. Now I know this is what comes next. The quiet, the drifting I'll send. The slow descent into nothingness wrapped in warmth. Even the wind has lowered its voice. It brushes along the walls now like a lullaby meant only for wood and stone. Not seeking to be heard, just seeking to be near. I think peace, real peace, sounds like this. Not silence exactly, but softness. Soft enough that you no longer brace for what follows. Soft enough that you can close your eyes without checking your back. Yusef's made it easier, being here. Sitting through the storm together. Letting the hours fold around us. If I dream tonight, I hope it sips simple. A stream, a single candle on a windowsill. The sound of someone humming, just out of sight. I don't need much more than that. And if I don't dream, well, that sip's all right too. Sometimes the best sleep is the kind that leaves nothing behind. Just a gentle fading, like dusk pulling its blanket over the world. I'll lie here a while longer. Let my limbs grow heavy, let the coals cool, let the rafters hum their low, secret song. I'll let this night hold me, and I hope wherever your thoughts have gone, they're resting too. You stare safe here, you always were, and tonight, in this half-broken barn with its patient walls and its quiet straw floor, you're home, at least for now. So let's let go of the day together. Let the armor stay undone. Let the sword lie idle. Let the fire sigh. Let the rain fall. There is nothing to fix, nothing to chase, nothing to understand. Only this, only now. A binder sleep waiting just beyond the next breath. Stay, if you like. There's room enough beside me. And the night will keep us both. Sleep now, my dear friend. There's nothing more to hold. The night has taken up the rest. The fire is only breath now. No flame, just a warm, glowing hush. Its last embers drift like stars sinking beneath the horizon, small and faithful. And above us the rafters hum with silence, as if even the wood is at peace. The rain hasn't stopped. No, it's still here, still falling gently. But it's different now, quieter, like it knows not to wake you. Each drop is a whisper, soft as a lullaby stitched by the wind. Let the rain carry your dreams tonight. It knows your name too. It's heard it before, in laughter, in stillness, in quiet moments when no one else was listening. And it remembers, out there beyond the walls, the world turns on, but not here. Here, nothing turns, nothing pulls. This barn, broken as it may be, holds you the way its always held me. Not for what you bring, but for who you are. Resting. You've come far today. Not in steps, perhaps, but in heart. To choose stillness over worry, to share silence instead of stories, that takes more courage than most know. So let yourself drift now. Let your body sink into the straw. Let your breath slow, like the tide going out beneath moonlight. Let your thoughts loosen their hold. There sips no need for answers. No need to gather your pieces before sleep. You are whole, even in this softness. Especially in this softness. I'll keep watch a little longer, just until your breathing settles. Not as a guard. No, not that. Just as a friend. A quiet one. You are safe. Not just from storm or shadow, but from expectation. There's nothing you must be now. Not brave, not clever, not strong. Only here, only held. The barn knows how to hold stillness. The rain knows how to hush the world. And I know how to let them. So now you can rest. Maybe tonight you'll dream of a field under stars, or a boat rocking gently on quiet waters, or a lantern swaying from a tree branch as dusk gathers like velvet. Or maybe you won't dream at all, and that sip's all right too. Whatever comes, it will meet you gently, because this night asks nothing but your ease, and gives everything in return. Let go, my friend. Let the fire sep's breath be your blanket. Let the barn cradle you like an old song. Let the rain write lullabies on the roof. The hears him here, and I still stay, until even your dreams have fallen quiet. Sleep, sleep, now. You are safe. You are warm. You are not alone.